What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Meta Monday breakdown thingamajig. I am recording this on Sunday evening because I don't know how much time I'm going to have tomorrow in order to make this stuff, but I did want to have a brief opportunity to go over what has been happening in the guard meta over the past couple of days or this last week. It's going to be rather quick. We did not have a particularly good weekend. I can show you here. I have updated this a little bit, but as you can see, most important thing, uh, we didn't have a very good weekend. We went 43% win rate, partly because we didn't have very many of our top players playing this weekend. Our strongest player playing this weekend was Chris Daly, playing at Crucible, where he went 5-2, playing with a lot of the Art of War guys this weekend. But yeah, I mean, not a great weekend for us overall. There's only a couple lists I really want to show you guys. There were a lot of you guys who took Basilisk this weekend. Don't do that. It's not a good unit. You really got to justify it, and it is a major contributing factor to this. Look at that, 31%. 31%. If you just don't take dumb things, we're up to a 60% win rate this week, or like the past 2 weeks, but it's okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the list. So the first one I wanted to show you guys is one by Jerome Connolly. Jerome is a player that does show up on our winning guard list spreadsheet every now and then. I think this is his third appearance that I can remember, and it's a pretty normal list overall in terms of what he actually brought to Hobby Henchman. Is just combined arms, Kitty Command Squad with Grand Strategist, Gaunt's Ghost, 1, 2, 3 Rogel Dorns, all with Stubbers and Multi-Meltas, 1 10-man Kitty Shock Troops, 1, 2, 3 units of Keditron Jungle Fighters, 1, 2, 5-man units of Death Riders, Kazarkin, Vanquisher, both the Multi-Meltas, and Tempestuous Aquilons. There's not a lot of fat in this. It is all just pretty good data sheets. The only real thing that we're seeing in this is a little bit of a departure from like the maximum Kazarkin maximum transports, which is fairly common, and he's instead going with a couple of extra Catachan units. And a third Rogaldorn commander. So it's just all very efficient data sheets across the board. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one, other than it's just like trimming the fat a little bit. Like, because he is opting to go with the 3 Rogaldorns and Gaunt's Ghost, he's effectively 20 points down from where we were a lot of the time. So it looks like he took basically just he took Ursa Creed and saved the 20 points by putting in an extra unit of Catachan, which makes sense to me, right? Like, you've got a lot of tanks, you've got a lot of firepower, you have enough fast things with Scout that are going to be running around the board in order to take up a lot of space, and so it mostly just comes down to you're playing very honest Warhammer with a lot of things that can run into the midboard, all of your Catachan, all your Kazarkin, and the Vanquishers I would also include in this list. And then you have 3 Rogaldorns, and the Death Riders, then you have 3 Rogaldorns in the back, just lighten things up. Not a whole lot to say. This plays very honest Warhammer. You're gonna be good at it. And he's got the Death Riders to make up for the fact that he doesn't have necessarily the speed of the transports. Just a lot of very normal stuff. This next one I am doing in paste bin because I think I'm doing this one with a really big asterisk. This was played at a very small event where they did go 4-1. And I took a look at like the average strength of the players there, and it was not a very strong event at all, and it was just not a lot of players. This list did go 4-1, and with that in mind, I do want to talk about some of the things that are in here that make me look at this not only with an asterisk, but also some of the things that I want to make sure people understand properly. So the first thing is we have a Cadian Command Squad with Reactive Command. And Reactive Command is one of those enhancements that I get a lot of questions, especially from newer players about, where they ask, is like, hey, if somebody moves within 9, I get to give an order. What's the best order to give? And unfortunately, that's not how it works. It only activates off of someone setting up within 9. So they have to either get out of a transport or deep strike 6 inches away. At which point the answer is usually take cover, but it just, like, this one almost never comes up, and the fact that it's 15 points is literally criminal. I would only take this at 5 points if I already had a 1995 point list. Like, this enhancement does basically nothing. Next one, Acadian Command Squad with Grand Strategist. Sure, makes sense. And then we get to the next one, where we have a Leman North Commander with a Drill Commander and also Heavy Bolters. So the first thing I want to talk about, Drill Commander. This enhancement does not actually do anything at all on the Leman North Commander. The biggest thing here is Drill Commander specifies that you get sustained hits one when remaining stationary, or not sustained. You get critical hits one when you are remaining stationary, and two when you are leading a unit. And because the Luminar's commander can never lead a unit, the Luminar's commander can never use this at all. Other big thing, of course, heavy bolters. This one makes a little bit the drill commander makes a little bit more sense with the heavy bolters if you think you just always have crit fives. Because then you are lethal sustained critting on fives, which is very, very powerful, but it doesn't work. Next, we have a Tech Priest Engine Seer, which will matter a lot more when we get a little bit further. One 20-man Canadian Shock Troops, two 20-man Canadian Shock Troops. And overall, I take a look at this, and it's like, okay, there are some red flags immediately coming through. We have a Chimera with a Heavy Bolter and a Multi-Laser. Possible this was not the correct war gear, but maybe it is. And then we get a Baneblade. The Baneblade did go down 30 points. I'm going to come back to this. We have a Acadian Heavy Weapon Squad with one missile launcher and two autocannons. Again, not something that you generally see from people who are typically going for one. A Field Orange Battery, one Executioner with Plasma, one Exterminator also with Plasma, and a Heavy Bolter in the whole. One unit of 5 Ogren, one Scout Sentinel, two Scout Sentinels with las cannons. Okay, so why am I bringing this one up and doing this with a really big asterisk? I suspect that the player who was doing this was one, this is their first recorded GT, and I believe that they were making a lot of rules mistakes. So the first one, like I touched on, or the two that I've already touched on, reactive command doesn't actually do anything, and then the Lemanar's commander with drill commander also doesn't actually work. But the biggest thing to me that shouts hey, this was probably played incorrectly was there's no Lord Solar in the list, and there is a Baneblade. The Baneblade, the only way to get this to hit on better than 4s is if you have Lord Solar in the list, and that doesn't exist. He doesn't have Lord Solar in the list. So ultimately, this should be automatically losing the game to any army that has the smoke keyword, which is a lot of them. Because suddenly your 450 point unit is hitting on 5s. And as anybody who's ever played a game where you have a bracketed Lehman Russ and you're hitting on 5s, suddenly you are incredibly sad. It doesn't do anything. And that's 450 points of the army. There are other things like the Canadian Heavy Weapon Squad with split weapons and the Field Orange Battery just existing at all. Are other things where you're looking, this is probably not the way it's actually supposed to work. If this player does show up and they can assure me that they are, not making any of these rules mistakes, I'll talk about it a little bit more potentially, or I'll, give it a little bit more leeway. But it wasn't a very strong event. This was their first GT, and there's a lot of things in here that are very common rules mistakes for different players. So I wanted to show this guys to you mostly as a learning opportunity to talk about why this probably doesn't actually work. If you do know who this is, let them know about this video, but also this is not, do not go attack them. This is not to make fun of them. These are fairly common rules mistakes, especially for newer players, as part of why Guard is relatively difficult. Anyway, the last list that I do want to show you guys is something that was played at Studs and Snotlings by Nick Jagiello. This is not showing up in the winning guard list that I oftentimes put out because it was played at a teams event, and I believe he had 3 20s and 2 19s or something absolutely ridiculous. He went 5-0 and just pummeled a lot of his opponents. So let's go ahead and take a look at the list. It is a Hammer of the Emperor, and I think this is Ice Beans. Nick is I love Nick. He is very straight-faced funny, and you don't always know when he's joking, when he says things. He also always wears a bucket hat on stream, so just a great guy. Anyway, Gaunt's Ghost, one Rogaldorn commander with the Calm Under Fire. This is basically the Grand Strategist, but the Hammer of the Emperor version. 2 Rogaldorn commanders, 1 unit Canadian Shock Troops, basically mandatory in every guard list that you see. 1 unit of Rough Riders, 1 unit of Death Riders. 2 Hellhounds, both with heavy flamers. I know one of the things that Nick tends to do is in his area. He tends to play a lot more on WTC. But this is definitely one of those decisions where I have seen him take multi-meltas a lot in the past, and so I'm expecting that this is one of the decisions being made in order to target certain things in teams' environments. Um, one unit of Krieg Engineers, but a plasma pistol, I guess, on the sergeant. One exterminator. Nick has been a very vocal supporter of exterminators in general, and especially in Hammer of the Emperor. And the basic argument that he always puts forward about it are one, the ability is really good. The Withering Hail, the ability to give +1 AP to other units in your army, pairs really well with whatever the bonus AP stratagem is in Hammer of the Emperor, so you can do a lot more damage that way. The other thing is because it's Strength 9 twin linked, you're wounding, like, Strength 9 wounds everything in the game on a 5 or better. And if you wound something on a 5 and get to re-roll it, it's a little bit better than wounding on 4s because you're hitting or you're converting 55 or 56% of the hits that you're getting into successful wounds. So the main gun is like, he always says it's like functionally like strength 13 or 14 or something like that. He's a big fan. He's had a lot of success. 1, 2, 3 Vanquishers, all with multi-meltas, 1 unit of Ratlings, and then 1, 2, 3 Scout Sentinels. So this is a pretty normal 2 Dorns and 3 Vanquishers style, and then he's got a couple of other things on top of it, right? He's got a Lemonar's Exterminator, these 2 Hellhounds, 2 units of horses. He's been an avid fan of horses for as long as I've known him, and then 2 Hellhounds. So he's got a lot of very durable things. I'm expecting this was probably played on WTC terrain. So he does have to have a little bit of control of the maps that he's playing on. So I would not be surprised if this was used as a first or second defender list in order to just make sure you put it on maps that you really like, and then you're just going to outshoot a lot of different things on those boards with just enough tools in order to clog up all of the terrain that you're currently playing on. But anyway, a fairly normal pile of tank coming out from Nick Jagiello as well this weekend. There was not a whole lot more to go over because, like I said, there's not a ton of players that did well this weekend. I could show you. Let me show you Chris Daly's list, actually, if I can find it. Crucible. This one. Chris Daly, like I said, he did not quite make the spreadsheet because he went 5-2, which is below the threshold of the 75%. But it was played at a very strong event, and I believe it was kind of split up because there was some weirdness with BCP for this event. But 1 Kading Command Squad, 1 Rogel Thorn with the Grand Strategist enhancement, Stubbers and Multi-Meltas, another Rogel Thorn, Ursula Creed, 1 20-man unit of Cadian Shock Troops. This is a piece that I've actually picked up for myself and something that I'm a little bit... like, I played a game against Chris not that long ago, and what you can do in shooting matchups is you can, like, take a tendril of this unit and go touch the middle objective, especially in shooting matchups, and then your opponent has to give you a piece on the middle objective when a lot of the times they would not have to otherwise. And because you're 26 models who has cover because you have a Cadian Command Squad touching an objective, it's really hard for a lot of people to shoot this off, and so you're almost always going to have the unit intact after like 1 shooting activation or 1 charge activation. So anyway, something that you can do, and in matchups where you're not allowed to do that because you're playing against like Retaliation Cadre Tau, who has like a unit with like 50 shots in the crisis suits, or you're playing up against like Khorne Berserkers who have like 50 something attacks that will actually just like blend this unit. It is just like screen your entire DZ for free. Anyway, 1, 2 units of Catachan Jungle Fighters. He typically puts these in the Chimeras. And did he play Ogren? Yeah, so a couple of Ogren. This is an older style strategy that is still getting results because you take the Catachan, you scout the Chimera forward, and then you advance the Ogren to be inside. And even though they advance, you can still shoot the Ogren out the hatch because it is technically the Chimera shooting now. 1 Exterminator with Plasma, 1, 2 Vanquishers also with Plasma, 2 Scout Sentinels, and when he played against me, he played 2 units of Equivalence. It's down to 1, but this is, again, a fairly similar, like, you've got a really efficient core of things that are moving up into the midboard with your Chimeras and Catachan, and your Cadians can kind of play the midboard. The one weakness that this army has relative to some other combined arms list is because it doesn't have the Krieg unit. It's a little bit harder to lock down your natural, but it is very fluid the way that it plays the board. So overall, is doing quite well, going 5-2 this time. That is it. I'm going to cut it off here. I don't have a ton of time this upcoming week. I will be traveling to Challengers Cup in Utah. So if you are going to be in Utah, make sure you stop by and say hello. I'll be there. I don't think I'll have anything to give away because I don't have any like merch or swag or anything like that. But I'll see if I can come up with something in the next like couple of days. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you guys all next week. Bye bye.